Hello, hello, 'tis I, your favorite indie author, Julian Greystoke, and also your favorite book reviewer. I've just decided you don't have a choice. I said it in the video, so it must be true. Today we're going to be talking about a book that I was actually pretty excited about. I had been looking forward to it for a little while when I saw that it existed, and then when it finally came in at my library, I was very excited because I thought that it might be a good comp title for my book, Adventurer Mage. And as I read the synopsis, you'll see why, especially if you're familiar with Adventurer Mage. So I was like, I think I'm really going to enjoy this. I was in the right mood for a more cozy fantasy. I love the cover. The cover is perfect. No notes. But, she let me down. She did. She let me down. I still gave this one 3 stars, but thinking back on it, it's probably more of a 2-star read. It's not so atrocious as to be a 1-star for me, but it just didn't have the juice, and I was really hoping that it would. So let's go ahead and read the synopsis. I'll talk a little bit about why I hoped that it would be a comp for Adventurer Mage, and then we will kind of just go over why it let me down. Now, it has been a little while since I read it, and I'm just doing this from memory. I didn't take any notes, so I will try to remember everything, but I might forget some stuff. Anyway, let's read the blurb for Teller of Small Fortunes. Tao is an immigrant fortune teller traveling between villages with her trusty mule for company. She tells small fortunes, whether it will hail next week, which boy will the barmaid kiss, when will the cow calve. She knows from bitter experience that big fortunes come with big consequences. Even if it's a lonely life, it's better than the one she left behind. But a small fortune unexpectedly becomes something more when a semi-reformed thief and an ex-mercenary recruit her into their desperate search for a lost child. Soon they are joined by a baker with a need, spelled like kneading dough, for adventure, and of course a slightly magical cat. Tao sets down a new path with companions as big-hearted as her fortunes are small, but as she lowers her walls, the shadows of her past are closing in, and she'll have to decide whether to risk everything to preserve the family she never thought she could have. So yeah, this is just a cozy fantasy about a woman who has some magical powers, who lives in a traveling caravan type situation, and she makes some friends along the way, and that sounded just like exactly what I was looking forward to. I wanted some found family, I wanted some low stakes, and like a lot of elements are in common with Adventurer Mage. The traveling in a wagon, going from place to place, some light adventuring, although the adventuring in this is a little bit not light. This is more like regular adventuring. But there's animals, there's friends, there's found family. It just sounded great. There's even, like, I think tea does come up. So just saying. Also, by the way, not for nothing, but the sequel to Adventurer Mage will be coming out this year, 2025. So give this one a read so you're ready for the sequel. It's available on Amazon. So with all that going for it, how did a teller of small fortunes let me down? Well, I'm going to kind of go over the plot and we'll just talk about stuff as we go, as I normally do. The plot, such as it is a very, very simple plot. We have Tao, our lead character. She is fantasy Chinese. A lot of this is very much like fantasy, kind of borrowed from our world, which I don't have a problem with because Adventurer Mage kind of does the same thing. But she's wandering around telling her small fortunes, just like the blurb said. She doesn't tell big fortunes. She uses her powers only to discern very, very small things. But she swiftly encounters what is the extremely archetypal duo, that of the barbarian and the thief. So there's the big guy, big warrior dude. He's reformed. He's not a mercenary anymore, but he's huge and he wields weapons. And then he's got his small thief buddy with him. The thief still does some thieving. He's kind of struggling with that. A lot of these characters do have internal struggles, but they aren't handled very well, which is disappointing. Because in a story like this, the characters are going to be where you get a lot of your plot from instead of an external plot. All of the plot would be like internal. But it turns out that the big barbarian guy, his daughter is missing, and when Tao makes a prediction concerning his daughter, he's like, you have to come with me to find her. This is the most hope I've had in a really long time. trying to find my kid. They think that she's been like kidnapped by bandits and sold into slavery. So that's not good. That's not good. So they're on the hunt for her, and Tao volunteers, and so she's got her wagon now has 2 extra people. And the recipe of this story is simple and classic, but classics are classic for a reason, so it should really work, right? They spend most of the book traveling from town to town, with Tao telling her small fortunes, the thief thieving, and the big guy vibing, mostly. He doesn't really do much, unfortunately, and he doesn't have the strongest personality, which is quite disappointing. But in one of the towns, they pick up this baker, this aspiring baker. She makes very tasty but very ugly food, which I think is great. Like, her food is just not appealing visually, but everyone who eats it enjoys it, and so, like, her family is struggling with her because they have a shop and they want their food to be beautiful looking as well as tasty, and she's not able to do that. And so when she has Tao read her fortune and Tao says, "I see you traveling with us," the baker is like, "Bet, I was wanting to get out of here anyway, let's go." It's very, makes it easy. A lot of this plot, these characters do not face a whole lot of challenges. Anytime they kind of come up against something that might be a challenge, they solve it very quickly. So like the baker's daughter wanting to go with them, she doesn't really have any moment of crisis where she's like, do I want that? Do I not want that? Like, she thinks about it for like 10 seconds. And then she's like, I'm going with you. I wanted to anyway. It's like, okay, great. So now they are traveling fortune teller, thief, big guy, and baker. And they just go from town to town. Like 90% of this book is them just going from town to town, trying to find clues about the guy's missing daughter, but not trying very hard. The closest thing that this book has to a plot, an overarching plot, is the missing daughter. But they do so little looking for her most of the time that you'd be forgiven for forgetting that it's actually a thing. For someone who's been desperately searching for his kidnapped daughter who may have been sold into slavery, this man is not in a rush. Like, he's fine if they just stop for long periods of time in these towns to sell fortunes and to sell baked goods. And, like, he, like, mostly stands there and looks scary just in case anybody in the town decides to be a troublemaker. And it's like, there's nothing happening. I understand that a cozy story does not have the most intense plot in the world, but nothing happens in this. Things happen in this. Lots of things. There's things happening all the time in Adventure Mage. So I was really disappointed reading this that so little happens, because it kind of gives cozies a bad name. People think that cozy fantasy is boring. So yeah, they mostly just vibe. Here's the thing about me, is that I have gotten the critique that my characters don't have enough interpersonal conflict. My characters tend to get along maybe a little bit too easy for some people. I don't go out of my way to shove interpersonal conflicts into my stories. I hate the miscommunication trope. But this book would have set up moments for interpersonal conflict and would shy away from them. Like good, honest, sweet interpersonal conflict, where like two characters would have a moment where you think they're going to just disagree the way that family and friends disagree, and they don't. This author was so averse to interpersonal conflict that everybody gets along flawlessly, and it's boring. I understand that maybe my books aren't as interpersonally conflict-filled as possible, but I still have some. And I definitely try to have a lot of external forces giving the characters conflict to deal with. This had nothing. There was no conflict. Occasionally, an external force would come along to be a problem, but it would be solved like that so fast. And like our main character had some internal conflict going on in that she had trauma from her past, where the one time that she made a big prediction, she saw her father die in battle. And so she told her father, don't go to that battle. And because he didn't go to that battle, the enemy came instead and sacked their town, and he died there instead. So she's like, I don't want to see big fortunes because I will see people die, I will see bad things happen, and there's nothing I can do to prevent it, so I don't want it. And so she's avoiding one of the like conflicts is that she's magical, and magical people are wanted and expected to go to like the mage college, kind of like the Circle of Magi in Dragon Age, but a little bit less intense. Like, they really, really want you to go, but ultimately they can't force you to go. But they keep hounding her. There's this guy who keeps showing up and being like, hey, I've come to bring you to the mage college. And she's like, no. And he's like, damn it. And then they leave and he follows them again. And he just keeps trying to come and get her to come with him. So she's got that internal conflict, but everybody else is pretty chill. Like, the thief has a little bit of a conflict going on. He's a little bit, again, internal. This isn't a thing that is an issue with other people, really. He doesn't really want to be a thief. He worries that he's a bad person, and he doesn't want to be a bad person, but he's also a little bit of a compulsive thief. Ultimately, in the end, the main character is just like, what if you reverse burgled people and gave to the poor? Like, the money we earn, reverse burgle some of it to the poor. That's the revelation for him. And like, there's all these moments that could have been so good because one by one her companions come to her. They kind of have one scene each, which is like their character development scene, which is also boring. But one by one they come to Tao and they say, tell my small fortune. And she does, and then they have some kind of revelation because of it. But it's usually such a tame revelation. There's nothing to it. You know, it's so boring. There's nothing to make them overly stressed. The only one who's kind of stressed is the thief. He waits until the very end to get his fortune because he thinks it's going to tell him that he's doomed to be a bad person forever. But that's like as deep as it goes for any of these people. And like, that sounds interesting. Somehow this book finds a way to make it boring. And then like randomly in the middle of the book, you remember how this book has like that joke in the blurb about like need, but it's spelled like knead the dough. This book very occasionally tries to be a little bit like satirical, a little bit Terry Pratchett-esque, but this author's not good at it. So like at one point in the book, somebody comes to them and is like, hey, you have the exact makeup of an adventuring party. You've got a big guy, a thief, a mage, and a baker. Okay, the baker maybe is the odd one out, but he's like genre savvy. He's like, you guys are a D&D party and I need you to go get this egg, this magical item for me. Why? Like they come up with a contrived reason, like it's going to help them find the guy's daughter, and it ultimately does not at all. So like this portion of the book, everything else is very sedate, very quiet, very peaceful. And then like there's one adventure involving this phoenix egg, and then it's over and it never comes up again. It felt so out of place and random. And like, there'll be little things like that where the book will be a little bit goofy, a little bit satirical. Like, the baker invents fortune cookies. She's like, what if we put some of your fortunes, Tao, into cookies? And I'm like, okay, that's a cute idea, you know, that she invents like a pastry with a fortune in it. But she fully invents exactly fortune cookies, like the shape and everything. I thought it was just going to be like a cookie with a fortune inside it. No, fully fortune cookies. She invents them in this world. Yeah, it's odd. The tone is odd. Every now and then it will try to be a little bit satirical, but it's bad at it. And it's too earnest to pull it off. Like, this book is so earnest and like wears its heart on its sleeve. And so when it tries to do other stuff like that, it comes out of nowhere and it feels very tonally weird. It doesn't fit. Also, the cat that's mentioned in this blurb and that is on the cover is barely a character. I was really disappointed. Like, they acquire a cat because that's what you're supposed to have. Like, if you're a traveling group in a book like this, you're supposed to have a cat. It's supposed to be a sassy little cat, maybe magical. But like, the cat does nothing. Why is the cat here? Does this book have sequels? I don't think so. I think it's a standalone. So the cat's not going to do anything. In the end, it has kittens. That's it. Pointless. Don't put an animal into your story if you're not going to use it. The mule, I like the mule. Her mule who pulls her wagon actually has a personality. That animal is like a necessary character of the story. The cat, you could cut the cat out and lose nothing. And that's really disappointing. You love a cat character in a book like this, or at least I do, but they don't do anything with it. The author thought it should be there, but didn't actually have a plan for the cat.
The cat is just basically that trope of, oh, we thought we had a boy animal and then it turns out to be a girl animal when it has babies. But like, I'm so sick of that. And also there's like multiple people in this traveling party and none of you determined that this was a female cat. Like, just watch it pee. Like, nobody noticed the obvious differences that this was a girl cat, not a boy cat. None of them. One of them, the barbarian guy, is a farmer, and he can't tell the gender of the cat.
And then finally, at the end of the book, the main character like has a small crisis about her mother because she's like estranged from her mother after the thing with her father happened. And then she just decides, oh, I should have my character development now. And so she goes back home and reconciles with her mother. It's incredibly quick and easy. She's like, I should stop hiding from my abilities. So I'll go to the mage college and give them one big fortune. And that's all I'm going to give them. And then they have to like stop hassling me. I will give them a fortune because like there's this undercurrent simmering of like, is their country going to go to war with another country? And the mage college is like, we want you to come to us because you are a seer and we don't have any of those right now. And we really need you to officially tell us whether we're going to go to war. So she goes there and she's like, I will tell you the fortune, but then you have to leave me alone forever. And they're like, done. She tells the fortune. It turns out that they don't have to worry about going to war. It turns out you don't have to worry about it is the whole theme of this book. Anything that is set up, it turns out that we didn't have to be worried about because it'll just resolve itself. So it turns out they don't have to worry about going to war because the other country is about to start having its own civil war, and so we'll no longer have the infrastructure to threaten the country that our character is in. Solved. And then, like, I don't even remember how they find the daughter. They find the daughter, and it's super easy, and she's fine, and she's not traumatized. She's just as cute and sassy as ever. She's every child character, and she's just cute and sassy and lovely.
So I don't remember how they encounter this person, but they find that the girl was like only with the bandits for like 10 minutes, and then she was rescued by a lovely family who's been taking care of her. So she's been having a great time, and this lovely woman is now like, oh good, we found your father, you can go back home, and that's how that's resolved.
And so they bring her back home to the place where the big guy lives and where his wife is waiting. He has a beloved wife that he, talks about fondly, and he brings his daughter home to her. And everybody's like sitting around the dinner table hanging out, and the daughter is like, hey, I love traveling in this little caravan with this found family, and I want to do that. And then so the mother and the big guy are both like, well, we have this established farm. Like, my whole thing was I wanted to retire to this farm with my wife and daughter, but now she has a taste for the traveling life. So literally he's just like, no big deal. We'll just give the farm to one of our neighbors and go traveling. Oh, well, that's fine then. Like, nothing is a problem. They just brush it off. They don't even say, well, I'm sorry, but we have to go our separate ways. Or maybe as, Tao and the group travel through every year, they will visit us. No. His wife is fully on board. She's like, oh, well, if our daughter likes traveling that much, I guess I also wanted to see the world. So let's just give our farm away and go see the world. It's fine. No problem. Makes it easy. Everything in this book is solved quickly and easily, and I hate it. Like, I get that a cozy story doesn't have as big and drastic and world-ending of stakes. It's gotta have some. There are problems in this book, in Adventurer Mage, that are problems. But every time that a character encounters a problem in Teller of Small Fortunes, it solves itself. It turns out they never had to worry about it. Turns out all they had to do was ask, and everybody would be amenable to whatever they're talking about. So frustrating, and definitely one of the reasons that people think that cozy fantasies are boring. But this one is. This one is incredibly boring, and the author was clearly just afraid to ever make any conflict happen ever. And conflict can lead to stronger, cozy scenes. That's the thing. You gotta have the conflict and the stress to make us feel the comfort later. But we don't have that. It's like a fan fiction. But in fan fiction, you can get away with just having the characters have a lovely time. Because in the actual story, they're probably not having a lovely time. But here, this is just a bunch of characters instantly become friends and have a lovely time. The end. No? And they're a five-man band, and I love that archetype. I love that trope of the five-man band. I have a video about how to write one. So you've got Tao, who is the leader. You've got the big guy. You've got the techie, who is also in stories like this tends to be a thief character. And you've got the heart, who is the baker. And they're out on an adventure, but you know who you don't have? You don't have the lancer, who is a key component to the five-man band. Because somebody has to be a problem. Somebody has to bring the interpersonal conflict, and that's the Lancer's job. The Lancer disagrees with the main character. The Lancer pushes back. The Lancer is more chaotic or more uptight, whichever counters the lead character, the Lancer is. They are a crucial member of the team, and we are missing that in this book, and there's just no conflict. We barely remember that this man's daughter is missing most of the time. We're too busy inventing fortune cookies. So yeah, those are my thoughts on A Teller of Small Fortunes. I really wanted to love it, and at first I thought that I was going to, because it was setting up a simple story, but one that had room for a lot of character interaction and growth and like small conflicts that could make their friendship even more powerful. But it didn't. So I cannot in good faith encourage anyone to read this unless you are really in the mood for something that is not emotionally challenging at all. Then this. Like, if you are having like a very, very, very difficult mental health time and you need something that will never make you feel any kind of sadness, A Teller of Small Fortunes. So, anyway, yeah. But if you like the idea of friends traveling the world in a wagon and going on adventures that make sense, that aren't satirical, Adventurer Mage. I swear I didn't do this review just to advertise Adventurer Mage, but hey, conveniently, book 2 is coming out soon, so I'm just saying. But this Adventurer Mage has platonic soulmates, it has magic, it has horses. There's no cat, but there doesn't need to be. Like, I wouldn't shoehorn a cat in here if they don't need one, and they don't need one. But there is a lovely horse character who's very much an important character as well, similar to the mule in A Teller of Small Fortunes. Maybe, I hate, it feels sleazy to say read mine instead of that, but I don't know, read both. Read both and decide which one you like better. That's what I'm going to say. If you would like to keep up with me and my writing journey on a more personal level, you can hop on over to my Patreon, where not only do Patreons get more updates about what I'm writing, but there's also a Discord where we can talk about all of our writing projects. It's great fun. It's very low key. It's nice. It's relaxed. It's friendly. So come on over there if you're interested in becoming a patron. Also, you get exclusive content not seen here on the regular channel, which you can also see if you become a channel member. And of course, I am a developmental editor, so if you're working on your own cozy story and you don't want your cozy story to be accused of being boring, I might be able to help you out. Your first 5K words are only $25 to see if we would be a good fit, so what have you got to lose? Come check me out on Fiverr. But that's all from me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see all of you again next time with whatever it is I happen to be doing next time. Bye!
What? You're George McFly.
And you're my patrons. Patrons like Allison, Lisa, Jen, Tex, Moon Island, Zenith, Ashley, Bunnet, Nemo the Sorcerer, Tactical Hot Dog, Haley History Nerd, Pixel Lizzie, Raya, Christina, Cameron, Lady Craig, and Lunar Muse, AJ, Marshy, Semi-Dark, GK, Scout, Annika, Jen, Gay Tutter, Tina, Laknunga, SB Boots, Martha Baggins, July, Bird Anonymous, Sarah, Cat, 78 kilograms of shade, Ingrid, Roma, Haley, Sam, Kira, Mooney, Puttamancer, Kohikaro, Kirsten, Bear, Jojo Bookish, Robin, Ursula, Caitlin, Jessica, KJ, Mufflier, Celia, Deborah, Swamp Goblin Waifu, Sophia, Marween, Kit, Light Julie, Patrick, Callison, Vampire Antihero, Shelby, Zaire, Jesper, Rennie, Scribbling Cat, Savvy, Jenny, and Amanda.
Stand tall, boy. Have some respect for yourself.